Welcome to Firestop Feed, the Pyrophobic podcast that helps you stay ahead with the latest in advanced passive fire safety solutions. I am Liz.
And I am Ember.
So when you picture construction delays, you probably imagine massive steel beams arriving late or a poured concrete foundation cracking, big, loud problems.
Yeah, exactly. The stuff that makes a lot of noise.
Right. But today, we are diving into a stack of engineering briefs to look at one of the quietest, but honestly most disruptive sources of rework out there, and that is Firestop submittals.
Oh, man. It is the paperwork nobody really looks at until the walls are literally about to close up.
Yeah, it is a nightmare. So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack these sources and show you, the OEM engineers, how to avoid rejected submittals and, broken schedules.
Right, because it is all about designing compliance into your components long before anyone even breaks ground.
So to understand why this goes wrong so often, we need to look at what Firestop documentation actually does.
Well, it is the critical link between the original design intent, the tested performance, and ultimate code compliance. I mean, if you break that link, the whole chain fails.
Right. Let's unpack the biggest misunderstanding we found across all these specs. A Firestop material is not a Firestop system.
No, not at all. Code compliance relies entirely on the system.
And what does that actually include?
So the system includes the material, sure, but it also dictates the rated assembly, the penetrating item itself, the opening size, and the exact tested configuration.
Okay, so it is kind of like car parts. Like you could go out and buy this massive high-performance engine, which is your material.
Right, a really great engine.
But just dropping that engine into your custom vehicle does not automatically mean the whole car will pass a street legal emissions test.
Exactly. The entire system has to be tested together.
So just seeing the word listed on a product never means it is universally applicable.
Never. If you change even one minor detail in the installation, like, say, the annular space, you can instantly void that listed design.
The annular space. That is the gap between the item passing through and the edge of the opening, right?
Yep, that is it. It sounds super trivial, but it fundamentally dictates how the Firestop performs.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and because that space is so critical, the way we test these systems is incredibly strict.
Which is probably why OEM engineers often get trapped looking at the wrong testing standards in this absolute alphabet soup of compliance.
Oh, the alphabet soup is very real.
It really is. So if we are talking about through penetration Firestop systems, the briefs point strictly to UL 1479 and ASTM E814.
Or KEN-ULC S115 for Canadian projects. But a lot of people confuse those with UL 94.
Wait, UL 94 is completely different.
Totally different. UL 94 just evaluates the burning behavior of polymeric materials. They literally just hold a flame to a piece of plastic to see if it drips or burns.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, it does not test how that plastic behaves when it is shoved into a concrete wall with cables running through it. That is what UL 1479 is for.
Got it. And for anyone working in energy storage, do not mix this up with UL 954A either.
Oh yeah, definitely not. That standard is for battery thermal runaway.
Right, so it is a completely different compliance path with totally different physical mechanisms.
Exactly. So to stop getting tripped up by all this, the engineering specs suggest a major shift, moving from reactive documentation to design integrated compliance.
Basically moving upstream.
Yes. Using intumescents, which are, materials that actually expand under heat to seal an opening.
Right. The sources specifically highlight using preformed molded components to reduce field variability for repetitive openings.
Right. Products like Pyrophobic's Safe Passage for poke-throughs and electrified decks, or their Fireblock gasket for electrical boxes.
Now, hold on. I'm going to push back here for a second. Are these preformed components just a lazy silver bullet?
What do you mean?
Like you just plug it in and you are magically code compliant forever without worrying about the broader system?
Oh, no, they aren't magic at all. Preformed components have very strict geometry limits.
So they still require perfect alignment with a listed system.
Absolutely. For non-standard, irregular openings, field-applied sealants are absolutely still essential. I mean, they give the installer tighter control where a preformed system just won't fit.
Okay, so it is really about repeatability. Like if it is a standard opening, molded components cut the variation. If it is custom, you need flexibility.
Exactly. Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway from all these materials. The fix for Firestop friction is upstream.
You have to integrate passive fire protection at the concept design phase.
Right, meaning before the mechanical designs are locked in, you need to be asking your suppliers key questions, like what rated assembly was used in testing.
And what are the tolerances? Or what triggers a retest?
Because once that mechanical design is locked, any changes to the system aren't just tweaks. They are complete redesigns.
Which is a huge headache. And that leaves us with a pretty wild thought for you to chew on before we go.
Oh, definitely.
As modern data centers and smart buildings pack in these exponentially denser networks of cables and conduits, will the traditional physical Firestop inspection process eventually become impossible?
It is a great question. Are we going to be forced to completely reimagine how we verify passive fire safety when humans literally cannot see the penetrations anymore?
Something to think about. Thanks for joining this deep dive on Firestop Feed, brought to you by Pyrophobic.